Chris, let's start out with you. We all know that in a series, there are always guys who will be the X factor. And as a player, guys take different roles. For you, who do you see will be the X factor for the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets?
For me, that X factor for the Nuggets is definitely going to be Jokic. He wasn't necessarily the leading guy as far as the last series goes because Murray kind of took over. But what we're going to see in this series is that the Nuggets need to dominate on the inside. They have the bigger lineup technically on paper, and he's going up against somebody that doesn't have the same defensive capability as Rudy Gobert. So in order for the Nuggets to kind of have some kind of chance, they got to hit outside shots. And I think the Nuggets have to play inside out this series rather than outside in like they did last. As you saw earlier in the game today, they were actually double teaming Jokic because he was actually going to work on Zubac. So, and once you start pounding it inside, you get people in foul trouble. They're forced to double team, and that will open up your outside shots. For the Clippers, it's definitely going to have to be Paul George. They expect him to do a lot, and that's what superstars are supposed to do. So they're required and they're supposed to perform, especially in the playoffs. So if Paul George doesn't show up, it's going to be really hard trying to find that other person that's going to come in and catch fire for 25, 30 points a game, which they do have some people that are going to do it. But we all know that Paul George, being Paul George, it's time for him to show up.
Coach Ronnie, just like Chris said, Paul George, he's got it all. He's just has to be able to show it in the games. How do you motivate a player like that to be able to perform in a stage like the NBA semifinals?
Before Paul George made this move to this team, remember that he has always been a franchise player. And he has always been considered as a top 10 or top 20 player in the NBA. Perhaps the best motivation for him right now is that he's playing alongside the top player in the NBA season last year, Mr. Robot himself, Kawhi Leonard. And I think the best motivation that he can utilize right now is that he has someone who can help him win games, even after struggling for about 4 or 5 games in the series against Dallas. Therefore, if he can just play 60 to 70% of what he normally is, what he normally was before they played together, then I think the chances of winning will improve. And I think Kawhi Leonard also stated it very well that Paul George will miss shots, but Paul George can help the team and impact the team in so many ways. Defensively, he will always be a good presence defending the perimeter players of the opposition, and he will continue to be a scoring threat, therefore keeping the defense honest at all times. So Paul George will still play an integral role for, of course, the Clippers, and the motivation that simply should tell him that this is the best time for them to win the title.